Copyright, fair use copyright. We're gonna learn today, y'all. There's a lot of good information coming out where your people are rising and doing good things in the land. The nations that they say devise coups, pull coups, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Nigeria, 2, 3 years ago. Look at what they're doing today. I say it was more than a coup. They overthrew what shouldn't have been there from the beginning. There's a lot of us feel like that. If we had our minds and hearts right and was on one accord, we can overthrow a lot of shit going on over here. But a lot of our people so damn docile and dumbed down. Like the shit they following is, it helps us as a nation of people, and it's just not so. And people act like the same thing that mattered 100 fucking years ago in terms of putting your hands to the plow and making things work, going out there and being fruitful and multiplying, working every day, having access through trades. We were tradesmen, because why? We were merchants. We've always been tradesmen, artisans. Our ancestors were powerful people and came from an even more powerful people from the continent. Let's check this out. I want to share this with you. This Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso launching this cotton industry. It's took control of the cotton, got rid of the big major players, and empowered the people educationally and taught them the value of cotton, how to grow it and maintain it and everything, and distribute it, a finished product, which leaves room for them to make a lot of money and to empower their people. They can empower generations. They are becoming a mighty people on the earth. They are becoming a mighty people in the midst of a people that's gunning for them. You got to pay attention to the West. They gunning for them. They don't want to see it. They on the sly. That's why I say you got to watch the AU. I understand the Black Authority, what he's saying in respects to the African Union even opening its damn mouth to even mention reparations, which we need to understand there's a greater that's at work. They can only do what they're allowed to do, and they think that way for a reason. Because you are the greater. Yes, you are. But I think there needs to be a awakening to who you are. That matters. And that if you're unaware of who you are and you moving like, status quo, everybody else, then you're not going to expect that. And when you hear me or another person that's been awakened, know who we are, and we taking these things in and lining it up with scripture and what we speak comes with equity, family. It's power behind these words. I hear a lot of people tell me, okay, yeah, say everybody except, yeah, we the Hebrew Israelites. They hid this. It's just like the Bible say, those hidden. Okay, voila, what now? Shit, what now? Start working for them. And we all ask me what now. I wish a person would. I want somebody to come. Let's gather together. Let's get the hell out of here and get some land so we can draw our people to it. Move on that land right now, not no later. We move right now. Then the Most High gonna feel the motion. He gonna see us in motion. The world will see us in motion. What are we waiting on? Probably saying, what are you waiting on? Why didn't you save up? Because we just finding out. And Lord, I'm trying. I'm trying to do business with my people where I can be a power. If you scared, I want to be a power. I'm not scared to connect with you so we can empower you if you are to go forward. Let's just get it done. Like Africa, you see West Africa, that's what I'm talking about. West Africa, thanks for the like. Like and share if you like what's coming off this platform, because right now it's going to get real. And in the midst of it getting real, truth is going to be told. Truth is going to be proven. Nations are going to be falling. I've been watching frames going, and Europe is cracking in the seams. Why? Because Africa is taking control of what they have. God over their country and man, who God gave them authority to rule over. If they have power, that comes from the Most High. And they understand because first thing Ibrahim Traore gonna tell you, you have to awaken. You don't think they listening to Jude over in America? They hear and they see the evidence of what's coming from behind being awakened to what's been going on to our people. And our people awakening and coming out of the world systems and walking in the light of truth of who we are. Who that? Who that? Who that? Oh, I'm in trouble. Hello, how you doing, sweetie? I'm in trouble. I gotta watch what I say. Hey, say hi to my moderator. What's up, baby? Good to see you here. You're sitting there talking about the goodness, all this goodness that we're not seeing and hearing about. But those with eyes to see and ears to hear, we feel that vibration. We know our fellow kinsmen beating that drum. We know they rising to excellence. We see it in such a way, and it's so beautiful. You know how long we've been waiting for that? That empowers me to see that. When I see Africa riding how they riding and they telling them people, man, get the fuck on. You know what I'm saying? You know how long we've been wanting to tell them people, man, get the fuck on. Like when they calling you and you ain't got that money, you mad. And then you could be behind a little bit on something. It's gonna come through, but you could be behind, you kind of frustrated. You know, people calling you, your girl going in on you. She gonna call you everything but a capable, man. Like, oh, really? That's how you feel about me, baby? How long you been holding that? You sound like the enemy. You tell me I'm sleeping with the fucking enemy? Like, really? Where's your faith? Ain't got faith in the foundation. Then what's wrong? You got to get it together, family. I'm telling you, I'm not holding on to that. I love you, but shit, I got to keep moving. I'm not gonna be stuck there because you don't believe. I believe because the fruit, the evidence of the fruit. You could tell me all this. Oh well, if you just do this, if I be hearing people like invest in this, invest, hell no. Africa showing you scrap that. They scrapped the whole playbook of the West and established hard work and hard work, dedication, and with integrity, with love for their fellow man. You know, he got a godly love for his people. These nations and they politicians don't have that. That's why I'm like, no, he's not a fucking president to me because how he carrying it for his people and country in the eyes of God. Forget the other people, but he being upright. He said he declared we the land of the upright. That's biblical, family. It came from the culture of the Hebrews, the Israelite culture. Before I heard it from any other culture, the Israelite culture was from the beginning because it's His word that established everything. Where you think you get your fruits and vegetables from? It was written by His word, family. That was your meat. Before the animal, your fruits and vegetables and your herbs. It's for the healing. You playing games at these hospitals. But think about it. What is it? Naturopathic medicine. Our brothers and sisters who study the herbs know what they do. They know what part of the body they target. They healing people, family. They getting their diagnostic sheets. You seeing in real time healing. They go into the hospitals, allowing they probably their primary doctors who they connected to check these things, and it's coming back official. Gone. But I don't hear that with them. We don't hear none of that. Like, where's that at with them? All right, you go Burkina Faso, man. I'm gonna get back to this Burkina Faso. And they cotton, but that's inspiring. We're sorry, African Union on its knees. It need to be chasing gold. I was listening to financial world information, and yeah, we fucked. Secondary magna plume track expanding northeast. So my phone about to die. France economic collapse sends Europe into panic mode 2 days ago. Why? Because of Ibrahim Traore. What he tell them? We don't need you, lady. With all due respect, we don't need you. We don't need your politics. We don't need your democracy. Trump been checking that out, the building of this city and Burkina for the people. There's a man upright with a heart for the Most High and for his people. So all that other shit they talking about over here, we need to hold these politicians to the standard that Burkina Faso and the Sahel regions and demand as our people. I can't speak for other nations, but our people, this system that they put in place, God, country, and man, they ain't fucking losing. They winning, and they about to be the dominant force. They are. Look at Europe. Look at France. They disconnected. I told y'all, I explain to people every day. They didn't cut France completely off. Money, military, every fucking thing. Contracts, big corporations. So what is that doing? Look at this. France budget bombshell is a wake up for all Europe. Because when Africa cuts you off, it's gonna show the world why they talking that shit about gold loses value. Gold don't lose no value. Y'all better wake your ass up and start investing in gold. That's the point I was about to make about the central banks and all these banks. They buying gold, family. They buying gold because gold is an asset that doesn't lose. You can't devalue gold. Yeah, they systems gonna try and say they can devalue it, but get the fuck out of here. Gold is spoken about in the Bible, in creation. They can't devalue what God created. Get out of here. Beat it. Gold is used for many multiple uses. You don't need to use it for what they use it for. You better wake up and whatever they used it for, you better take it and expound on it, black man and woman. And even to the Europeans, I'm not being divisive. I'm speaking to them too. Those who stand on the side of justice, real justice, that's based on law with equilibrium. You know what I'm saying? All this bullshit talking about playing politics. We ain't playing politics. We walking in the light of life. Kingdom, baby. You speak the word. That's what the world needs. It needs to heal through the power of the everlasting word of truth. It's not going to come no other way. You can stop trying. Your groups failed you. I promise you. Your leaders ain't leaders. They are puppets for these people. The same one you see Troy Ray telling, we don't need you. The ones that's been having their hand around your neck. Troy Ray moving like the Negro in America. The Negro in America is moving like Genesis 49. And his Judah's hand shall be in the neck of his enemies. You hear that? These people ain't for you over here as far as system wise. But some of they people, you got Gentiles that's standing up for us. They know who they is. That's on the side of the right. All praise to the Most High. And they standing. You got them out here with channels and they speaking the truth. That's what's going to empower you, family. That's what's going to build institutions. That's what's going to get the black man back in his right position and bring himself to who he's been established, ordained by the Most High and declared by his word as. Can't be nothing. You're not going to thrive until you come into who you are. Little G, wake up the little G in you. I just pointed out to you in the last video, Adam. We are descendants of Adam. Adam is made from the Aleph Dalet Meme. When we go into Genesis 1, the Most High said, verse 26, come let us make man. Who is man? Male and female created he them. Created he, who? Yahuwah. Them, who? Male and female. He's a spirit. John 10 tells us. Who spoke it? Mashiach. One who came in his name. The Holy One of Israel. The Anointed One. The Lamed, the shepherd of the house of Israel, the kingdom of Israel. You know what I'm saying? And king also over the tribes of Jacob. You got Judah and Israel. Judah is the sons of Jacob. Israel is some of Jacob and others. Remember, it was a mixed multitude that came out. Everything we do, we base it on kingdom. This is real time, real life. We bringing eternity here on earth. This is what the Most High gonna bless. You can't be scared. You can't be faking. You can't be flaky. You can't be sometime in here and there. No, come as you are, but trust me, in his time, whatever's attached to you that's not of him, he's gonna remove it. And you rather humble yourself, consecrate yourself to him, and fast to get that spirit off you yourself. Because if you allow it to persist, it's like you know it's there, but you being lazy. The Most High does not like you being slothful, family. Don't be intentional. And that don't mean you have to be available for everybody that calls you. Because if there's no value in you being available for everybody, what the purpose of you being available to everybody? What like, hell no. When you show up to bring value. You're a king. You're a queen. This is who we are. We're the chosen. All praise due to the Most High Yah. You Hebrew Israelites. Wow. Whatever thought. I know it was something about us. We ain't just no regular people, fam. We like them people from the X-Men, with special powers. I'm seeing black people doing things, acrobatics, like, what? They not in no Olympics, fam. They doing things Olympians ain't doing. You are different on purpose. You are a sight to behold, the apple of his eye. He spoke it. Who else? You ain't watching them? Yeah, we support it, but I'm just being honest. You won't see that sauce, that rhythm. We like the Rolls Royce of sports, the best of the best. It's like when I used to watch basketball. I don't watch it too much today, fam, because I know who own these teams, and they haven't been friends of ours. They did all that talking about Kanye, but now people doing research, they own people coming forth. Like I seen a Jewish man was on here the other day. It's a thread on here. He was on the beach. He said he was sitting there for 20 minutes, and if you see how burnt up he is, and I go through the threads and I'm looking, ain't nobody being prejudiced or nothing. I'm just saying. He making reference to it himself. He like, do you think we was in the Middle East like that? And I've only been out here in America on the beach in the sun for 20 minutes. If you seen how red the man was, I was like, bro, get out of the sun. Why are you in the sun, man, trying to prove something? We already know, bro. You ain't got to do that. Think about your health. That sun, to my European brothers and sisters, that sun will kill you because it will and yes, it could do something to us, but it's more likely that, and you could check man, do your research. It will do you more. Just look up melanin. I need to look that up. The power of melanin. Do y'all ever watch that? Cause that'll show you just how powerful we are as a people family. I ain't gotta say it. We just do it. We just do it. We don't need to be hooked up to no groups. I have no formal teaching about nothing they talking about. The power of melanin. Let's get to them. Man, that thing is powerful. There's one sister, she be bringing it out. They be mad at her, but the receipts, you can't be mad at the truth. Don't nobody tap into these things that's already there. You don't need no new word. You don't need nothing new. You don't need nothing new. All you gotta do is operate and be in who you are. The power of melanin. It'll blow your mind. If you just do the research, the power of melanin, conversation with Dr. Owens. It's so deep and powerful. Ooh, better stop playing. We powerful. Fair use copyright, fair use copyright. Go, y'all. How long I've been on? I got a like. Oh, I'm on fire. Didn't get a like, baby. I got a Lizite. It's on. Let's go. So I got to bring that knowledge. This is a portal for light. They say we walking in darkness, but I beg to differ. This is light. That's all we bring is light. Fair use copyright. 7 represents completion. What was this? Bro. Dr. Sheikh Anti-Diop and the Power of Melanin. Man, fair use copyright. Hold on. I read about this gentleman, this powerful brother we about to hear about in the penitentiary. Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop. I had his book. It was, I forgot the name. Could have been, no, that was The Destruction of a Civilization. I had that book too. I had some book by that. It's going to come to me. But that is a powerful man, well read, very knowledgeable man. Sheikh Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop.
I mean, he was a physicist, a chemist, a
Yes,
scientist, a
smart.
linguist, a historian. So he embodied almost all of those.
Yeah,
He didn't do the astronomy part, in the start, but he embodied almost all those things that I talk about that you need to master. So he became like my Jekyll in terms of a prototype of how I need to fashion my skills. Because when he came to UNESCO in 1974, he challenged all of UNESCO, all the white scholars. I mean, him and Theodore came in ready. They came in with their books and all the sciences, paleontology, anthropology, archaeology. They had all this
yes,
stuff. And the Europeans had nothing. They just came with their whiteness. They didn't have no documentation, no nothing.
nothing.
So Theodore blew them out of the water. So that showed me, to me, that was the epitome of symptomatic. I can do everything that I state that I can back. So
Yes,
that
we can
became
prove that thing. I'm telling you. We powerful, King.
And then when he talked to Dr. Jacob Phelps, he said, we don't learn to do that shit. We're not even serious. Because you're going to the wolf to ask how do rabbits avoid being eaten. And the wolf going to say, well, take this path, and when you see a
Exactly.
pig, rest up in there first.
Hell
And
no.
that's the wolf did.
Exactly. Eat
And
your
get your
ass up.
PhD there. So Carter Woodson said our most educated blacks will be our new enslavers.
He
But the
ain't
European
lie.
master can go to sleep, and his house will still be taken care of. Because we like, Master, we sick. Master, our house on fire. Malcolm said they won't even let you get a plant.
Won't stand for ourselves. That's crazy.
Okay. And so
Crazy.
Diop set the bar for me as being a genius. I mean, he was doing DNA testing. He could prove the melanin context of the moon. So he didn't just sort of say this black because they look black on the wall. He was like, give me a tip. All I need is just a centimeter, just a tissue, and I can prove. Because it takes millions of years for melanin to break down. And then we did the scientific formula of what melanin does. And there's been melanin conferences among the European Jews since 1936. Because many of the diseases they have, melanin will cure. It's the lack of melanin that, in their ancestors, things like that. But melanin is the root that can help cure many things. So they've been having no black people invited, but melanin conferences on black people since 1936. So we have to understand. So when we started our little melanin conference, they were kind of like Mickey Mouse conferences compared to what the Europeans were doing. We know that melanin is the most powerful molecule in the human, in the animal domain. Melanin is to humans, like chlorophyll is to plants, like carbon is to animals. And so even when SARS depicted green, he's not called the great green, he's called the great black. Green and black are synonymous with life. Nobody has the capacity to do what we can do. So that's why we learned basketball when we took out. We learned football, we became the best. Everything we do,
we the best. We the Rolls Royce. Hold on, King. Hold on. Peace to the God. I was just saying that in my last thing. Ye are God's little G's. That's where I get my playbook from. How others believe in the evidence, like I said, anthropology, archaeology, cranial, linguistics, uh, movement patterns, certain movements of nations, doing wars, and doing, just regular peaceful times. You can follow and trace. DNA is out there, family. And there are records of of movements of Africans, so-called African Americans. You can trace your history from through genetics. It's not a secret anymore. 91, I was in Pontiac, maximum penitentiary, down in southern Illinois, right outside of Joliet, Illinois. And I had a bunch of books from me. I see Brother Hills into Egyptology. All right. But I'm looking at the power of melanin. It's a power of the I am that's in the melanin that's in you. Ooh. Yes, that's the power of the I am that's in us. And it's also it's an ecosystem. It's in the plants, it's in animals, it's in all things he created. Now, we got some things walking around he didn't create too now. You got a fact, or they got less. And I can only go with his word, which is the authority and instruction from me to help me understand what I'm dealing with. You know? And this melanin, that's that Genesis 1. He said, come, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. It's so many of his attributes that are in you. So much of his image and his likeness that's in you.
Sound, we imitated nature. So we imitate any sound we heard in nature. Sometimes we can do it with our voice. And then we develop this. So these strands of DNA separate us from everybody. I know they want to say, and Dr. Lahida Africa used to prove, he said, even if you went and said they were all the same in the inside, he said that's wrong. The African internally is totally different from the European internally.
Yeah.
Our bone structure. That's why you can take a bone. My daughter has a master's in cultural anthropology and forensic work. They can take a bone.
They did.
Sons are actually stripping their skin. Try.
I'm not going to even talk about it, but they did. Remember that family sued Oprah for a woman's DNA remains that they're cells that they're constantly using. Black woman. Can't make this up, kings and queens. Truth shall set you free.
And by examining it, tell it there's the African or European.
They know this.
They can tell, they can even tell the cause of death from examining a bone of death, you know. So the African internal structure is different. So what Lila Africa was trying to show you is that the medicine that's in the pharmacy is all geared towards a European male. And what they need and what we need is totally two different doses. You know, he's saying that the diabetes scale is normal is 80 to 120. And you got 110 and you're African, you might have diabetes on you. Because what's normal for them is not necessarily normal for us. And when they say you need one pill, we might need 3. Or just the opposite. They need 2, we need 1, you know. But it's not the same dosage that they're, everything that they do is based upon a white albino, a white man. And so we got to look at medicine totally different. I know we don't do that. But that's why we're the sickest people in America. One of the richest countries, the most long-lived of people now have the shortest lifespan. There's something wrong with that country. And I say culture is our medicine.
Yeah.
So once you go back to your culture, you start eating culturally, you start thinking culturally, you're around people who are thinking like you are. So the immortals that are being emitted is powerful because there's love around you. You're thinking love. I'm thinking gratitude. I can't wait for the next day, so my stress level is really down. Yeah. I'm getting plenty of vitamin C. That's why I'm out there almost every day. I'm getting my vitamin D on. The number
Okay.
one cause of stress is a lack of vitamin D. Vitamin D breaks down the immune system. And so every black who lived above Florida got a vitamin D deficiency unless you're outside 5 to 6 hours a day.
What? All day. I get blacked out there.
Outside of being a farmer, who do you notice out there 5 to 6 hours a day?
Mechanic. Me.
So 95% of all
Every day.
black people
All
in America
day.
got a
In the
vitamin
sun.
D deficiency.
Working out.
So that means you
Or
don't
just
have the
standing
stress
there
well.
talking, making
And who has
videos.
the most? Who's the most stressful people in America?
Black
The
people.
black male.
Yeah. Black man under duress of
So
everything.
there's a ordinance goes out that we should
He
get
fight
away Social
against
Security because
everybody.
we don't live long enough to collect it. I'm just honored. I'm in the mid-70s. I'm one of the
Huh?
rare few my colleagues and graduated from high school.
Damn.
I got one black person who graduated from two black people who graduated from high school and still alive who graduated in my class. So we had to change the way we think. So my brother, this is a whole way of life to study. And when I study how great Menchihotep is, and Imhotep, and all of these other, that's inspiration. And I want our young people to know that. I want to record it. I want to
Damn, you
record it. I
70
want
something,
them to be
kid?
able to take this information.
You
From
look good, brother.
I want them to, what they do with the basketball, I want them to do that in the computer room,
Exactly.
in the corporate headquarters.
Hospital.
Whoa, those numbers is off the chart. They just slammed the Wall Street. That's what I want them to do. You remember Eddie Murphy when he did trading places? And he said, "Oh, you guys ain't gonna put a bunch of bookies. Oh, I know what's gonna happen." And he was like, "He had funny commercial. They ain't gonna do because he understood the street. He understood that. So they don't want you in that room, that corporate room. So, folks, I say thank you very much for allowing me to share this knowledge.
Yeah. That wasn't what I was looking for, though. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.
T. Owensmore, PhD, is trained as a physiological psychologist. He is a graduate of Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, and he has a master's and a PhD from Howard University. For more than 20 years, he has served as a college professor, biomedical researcher, and an African-centered scholar activist. He is a distinguished educator who appreciates interdisciplinary
Digging the pro, King.
He has
That's what's
served as
happening.
an assistant professor at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, and an associate professor and chairperson of the Department of Psychology at Clark Atlanta University, and professor and chair of the Department of Psychology at Fayetteville State University in North Carolina. His specialty courses are both in the field of neuroscience and African-centered psychology. I am so excited to be able to sit down with Dr. Timothy Moore. Thank you, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So,
I know I
brother,
just
too.
introduced you with all those accolades, but what everybody knows you for is the deep dive that you do when it comes to memory. And that's what I want to discuss with you.
Okay, so it's been actually a 30-year deep dive. You know, 20 years, so when you cut some years off, it's all right. It makes me look a little younger.
You know.
Yeah, no worries. I started out in 1995 writing a book called The Science of Memory. And prior to that, just serving as a professor. But this topic of memory kept coming up in grad school, kept coming up in topics relating to black
Melanin is
people.
power.
What does it really mean? So if you ask me that question here on your program about what is melanin, it's a complex biopolymer. It's everywhere when you think about it, not just on the body.
I got my biology book upstairs.
Items,
Yeah, I just said
cosmos,
that too, bro.
there must be something
You
more
got the
significant about
cosmos.
this. So that's why
It's an
I took that
ecosystem.
deep dive early on to talk about melanin. Rather than people being confused about it, let's make it plain.
Make it plain.
And what exactly did you come to find in respect to its relevance in life in general?
Open it up.
We talk about our future.
Bring
well,
it out.
This issue, the power of what it does as a science, as a model chip. I mean, it absorbs, takes in energy. All life is about energy. So I'm trained as a biological psychologist, physiological psychologist. I study the brain. So the issue is what's going on in the brain. That's when we start to look at behavior and the impact of how molecules and chemicals can impact behavior. So if we know that there's some areas in the brain that are dark and pigmented, how could that be? But there's no sunlight getting to those areas. It must be there for a reason. So there's a biogenetic reason why those cells are dark. And that's to help us out with our movements, our memory, and our work through our environments. So deeply and not there, you see some deficits. So the deep dive is to now try to explore that. We don't want to always want to look at deficits and problems. We want to look at the actual enhancements and what happens when you are able to make it work much better.
So physiological psychologists. So now you're diving into the brain. Now, when we look at melanin in the beginning, it plays a big role in the development of the brain. I've come to find out, of course, through your teachings, which you put in your books, that we kind of start off with these three skins: endoderm, ectoderm, mesoderm, and from these skins, this is where neural tubes and neural crests are formed. Do you think you can kind of expound a little bit on that?
Yeah, well, the ectoderm is the one where you got the opportunities for the skin to form. And also, you start looking in that area, it's also where the optic cup for the eye forms. What is going on with our eye? You got melanoma in the back of our eyeball. What's going on with our skin? You got melanoma on our skin. So you look at the ectoderm as that place where you start to see the formation happen. So as that little T cell, the zygote coming from the gametes, getting together, that little called black dot, it's the original Big Bang theory.
Yes.
So as it's growing there in the womb, you have all these divisions that are going on. And the reality is, if there's a problem with the melanin in its formation, you can have neural tube defects, spinal bifida, problems with the development of the nervous system, which means you're going to have a problem with the organs. So from the very earliest stages of development, out of being there in the biology, you're going to have problems with development.
Now, you spoke on the zygote, which is a byproduct.
So white people got a problem.
What I've always noticed in studying biology is the fact that no matter how advanced technology gets, scientists have never been able to see
higher to prevent them from having babies. It makes them have babies in the wintertime because they don't die. Yeah. So that's not how it works in humans, though. So it's doing a lot more. So it helps our immune system. My concern today is that people think they can use melatonin for sleep. And if you see commercials now,
girl.
melatonin for children. Yes. I don't know if it's gummies, but they have melatonin for
Phone
children.
died, y'all.
And there have been reports in the past that people have been put in jail for melatonin. Some lady had their kids in daycare. She gave the kids melatonin, they can go to sleep, but she got tired of dealing with it. She's in jail. So now you have commercials that have melatonin for kids. Some people have had taken it and throw off their rhythm. So personally, I do not support that. No. But we know biologically it's doing something at nighttime. I think it's more than just sleep. It helps out with the immune system keep the body.
Yeah, it's like asking your personal trainer to do your push-ups for you. Yeah, you gotta do them yourself. So your body's developed, it's supposed to be making melatonin. So I find it interesting the inverse relationship melatonin has with insulin. The fact that as melatonin increases, insulin drops. As insulin increases, melatonin drops. And this is why you're not supposed to be eating real late. You see, because obviously if you got a lot of melatonin in you, you don't need a bunch of insulin. You don't need to be breaking down sugars and everything like you're sleeping, and vice versa. And this is where the blue light comes in, because when you're up on the phone, you're up looking at TV, the blue light actually, just talking about policy, it actually stimulates to gluconeogenesis. So now you're spiking blood sugar. Now you're getting diabetes looking at the commercial. It used to be eating the stuff the commercial was advertising. But now you just watch the commercial and get the melatonin shot, insulin's way up, Now you got pathways in the body.
And the deep thing, the hormones are so significant in life. You can take a teaspoon of sugar and throw it to an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and that's the most minute amount of, we're talking about chemical in your body having an impact. Little. So this whole feeding thing, it's about melatonin and insulin have an inverse relationship. Well, melatonin at nighttime might be eating at nighttime. Okay, fine. This issue of these chemicals that are in our gut, you heard of CC mucosal kind of.
Yes, yes.
So when you eat, you chew, the food mixes with the mucosal surfaces of your digestive system, makes the chemical goes to your brain, makes you feel sleepy. Y'all know you got a proper word for that, right? Yeah. It makes you feel sleepy. But that's a little hormone going. That's not the only thing it does. You know, I've studied in my research work with more hormones. Vasopressin is supposed to be associated with learning behavior in animals. Oxytocin is associated with social behavior, social hormone. Well, they're also in humans. What was it doing in humans?
Male and female.
So the vasopressin in animals, it makes the animals actually like flank mark, a rodent, a hamster. They're spontaneously aggressive animals, so they mark the territory. You put that in the brain, stimulate it, makes the flank mark. It makes the animals groom. So it's grooming what flank mark goes hand in hand. But that's not the only thing it does in humans. So after intercourse or after orgasm, spiking oxytocin levels. So there's a touchy feeling coming from making love. So the hormones are there. So those hormones that are impacting behavior from the foods we eat, from the thoughts we have, that's why people are all jacked up. You start adding the food in. I mean, we talked about this earlier about the movie Clone Tyrone. I took that experience when I traveled to Africa. And I think somebody's trying to get me. Because I think there's another name, Timothy Moore. It's like, well, yeah, how did you know I was talking? Right. So the point I'm making is that in that movie, it had about people eating chicken. And the place that I went was Tanzania. Oh my goodness, I saw nothing but Kentucky Fried Chicken Pizza Huts everywhere. Kentucky Fried Chicken. In the movie, you talk about you put stuff in the chicken. So we know that the hormones there's a lot of food that's hormone related. And since it's in the food, you then eat it, and that impacts and changes your hormone levels.
Yeah, I know a lot of it these days is through the soy. They even have a term called soy boys now. You know, when you deal with a male that doesn't have, an aggressive nature, any masculinity, devoid of it, they call it a soy boy because of the effect that it has on the hormones. So some people think it just affects the male and it feminizes the male, but it also affects the woman where it makes them more aggressive.
So I was funded by the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke to study the effects of oxytocin on behavior, studying aggressive behavior in animals. So to study hormones is a problem, right? So castrate the males to take out the hormones. So you don't have that as a problem. So sorry, but you don't like animals? I'm sorry. I had to lay groundwork for doing the research. Yes, you castrate the hamsters. There's no hormones. You gotta find a way to scientifically investigate it, right? How do we know this product works? You gotta make sure it's in the product, right? So the animals who were castrated were still aggressive. Must not be testosterone enough. So went back to the drawing board and I published some articles on this. So the most of the food diets are basically soy based. It's easy lab childs, soy based diets. So maybe they're getting hormones from the food. So we compared animals on a soy-based diet and a casein-based diet, which is no soy. And so did those studies and we found changes in the brain as a result of receptors. Did immunocytochemistry and looked at changes in estrogen receptors in the brain, and also the hormone levels were different. So we now know the diet is having an impact on the animal's behavior. We know in humans it happens, but I'm saying we have to do the groundwork with the science. And so my concern was that all those other studies that are done for you, you may have your data all misconstrued. Exactly. So the soy, I'm not saying anything bad with soy. I'm not saying to or not to. All I'm saying is that yes, it can have an impact. So in your regular diet, there's something called phytoestrogens.
Oh yes.
Natural plant-based estrogens. So we were getting them from several places. Even the plastic bottles they say some people are consuming can have an impact on your hormones.
Oh, we talking about phthalates now. And if you want to talk about movies, we get into Black Dynamite, where they talked about Anaconda Malt liquor.
Oh,
Yeah,
Black Dynamite.
yeah, Black Dynamite with Michael Jai White. This was a film similar to They Clone Tyrone, where they kind of superimposed, a lot of information and knowledge in the movie, and there was a conspiracy happening in the black community of this Anaconda Malt liquor that older men were drinking, and it turns out that they were hiding an ingredient there that was causing their reproductive areas to shrink.
Yeah, this is not even funny.
Hypogonadism.
Yeah,
These people is
I saw the
different,
studies
y'all. Stuff, man.
chemicals, and it was resulting in a lot of children being born with abnormally small penises. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, okay, Anaconda Malt liquor.
that's deep. And I have in Dark Matters Are Secrets. They don't have malt liquor, I don't believe, in South Africa. But what can we do for drinks? So the fact that you got governmental officials thinking like that, you talking about a movie that happened like that, and we know malt liquor is only sold what in the hood. I got a bottle. I bought it to show students. It's a Fat Boy malt liquor.
Not fat.
PHAT, Fat Boy malt liquor.
I had no idea it was fat.
So if I brought the bottle in with a big old handle, make you feel real good.
Big handle.
Malt liquor. Triple X on it, XXL.
Look, it don't got no handles.
But they sucking this in. So they're saying they can sucking in. That stuff is cheaper than other alcoholic items. And so those 40 ounces and all the stories, you see the blues, boys in the hood, 40. So yeah, you put that out there. You put something in the drink, keep giving it to them, have an impact on them. So yeah, that's a problem. And then we say about the communities. So I presented in Nigeria in 2006 at a neuroscience conference. And I was presenting my work on the phytoestrogens. And in Nigeria, there's a community, I think Igbo land. There's a lot of twins. Ooh. Well, why are these twins in this one little area? So you can Google that and study that and see that. But I was telling them it's because of the food, the yams, phytoestrogens, and so it's one of the physiology. I don't know if you ever remember Usain Bolt talking about the reason why he's fast. He said it was yams. That's what he said. I know.
So that's what y'all
What's up, bro?
Okay.
So food items we put in has an impact on how our body responds. But question.
Okay.
Yeah,
Get on
knowing
the
that's
yams,
absorbed,
y'all.
taking in all that, it helps to protect, but in the long run can also create a
Yams are
problem, like
better than
causing the cells to die.
white potato.
I was just about to ask you about that, just how melanin plays a role when it comes to chemicals and drugs. Now that it has such an affinity for these alkaloids and certain chemicals, and it can be a gift and it can be a curse. That's why certain things are targeted at us because of how melanin reacts to these chemicals specifically.
Yeah, so basically chemical biological warfare is going on. I've done a presentation in the past on ethnic-specific drugs and how they have it. Because a biological entity can absorb, it explains why you maybe could be doing a robo test on a nightclub. You go get a drug test and you find they said you got cocaine in your system. So there are studies looking at hair. And all their hair you got, they might say, let's go see if these guys are doing drugs. Take a hair sample. They have one of your products that have a lot of phenols in it. So you're doing drugs. So the melanin is because the melanin absorbing whatever's in those chemical processes. So the drug testing process is discriminatory. Who's there to fight for that person in court because he's lost a job? He says you're on cocaine. They weren't on cocaine. The hair sample showed it from some chemical you've taken. So the melanin can latch on the chemicals and hold it for a while. That's why there's a problem with people having LSD trips. We took a LSD, lysergic acid diethylamide, a long time ago, and then maybe something later on in life, could be years later, it triggered you to a trip. It's because the melanin is absorbing the chemical, keeping it in your system longer than it should. So from marijuana to cocaine to any other chemical that is foreign, it may latch on and give a different feeling versus a person with melanin recessive, not going to feel the same things. I don't think a lot of black people do, or melanin dominant people do, methamphetamine. It's different high. They do a lot of marijuana, different high. And it has a lot to do with the chemical composition of the body.
Yeah, and we have an endocannabinoid system. It's designed to deal with cannabis, not necessarily externally, because we create all of these particular alkaloids, chemicals, terpenes, and things of that nature inside of our body. I know we make anandamide, bliss molecule. We make that from arachidonic acid, as well as a host of other chemicals. So we're able to process these things inside. And if I'm not mistaken, if we take it back to the palm seed, metcatholin, which is another component that's cleaved off palm seed, that actually deals with our endocannabinoid system.
Okay. And that's recent research in terms of coming up with antibiotics, the receptors for marijuana. So the reality is anything that's natural in the environment, your body has something because your body is we're just workers of the universe. So from the cocaine, there's receptors for that. From the opium, there's receptors for that. So for the marijuana, there's receptors. All those natural things that are out in the environment, our bodies can use it. And so there's receptors for it. So that storyline has been recent. I remember studying at the undergrad level. You ever heard of something called tetrahydroisoquinones?
No.
So if you took alcohol, mix it with dopamine, it makes these chemicals that are conjugated to almost like opioids. But tetrahydroisoquinones, it creates a situation where the person is more higher than they should be. So the alcohol, dopamine makes something. It makes sense because you're talking about any chemical you put in your body is going to have an impact on other chemicals. And the stimulant drugs, most of them are what stimulate dopamine, stimulating those centers in the brain for reinforcement. The nucleus, the ventral tegmentum to the nucleus accumbens, the mesolimbic system. You heard of that? So the two systems. So for people who are studying, want to know about dopamine, two major systems, mesolimbic and the nigrostriatal. Mesolimbic is from the middle of the brain to the limbic system. Limbic system, the nucleus accumbens. That's the one that makes people like, I gotta keep doing it. I gotta keep doing it. That reinforcing effect. It could be donuts. It could be gambling. It could be sex. It could be that drug. But gotta keep doing it. So something in the brain is doing it. It's addictions. Yeah, absolutely. Make you keep doing it. The other one, the nigrostriatal, is the one for movement. So the other one's emotions. This one is for movement. So from substantial nigro to the caudate nucleus or striatal. The point is that both of them are dopamine, but two different effects. One for what? Emotion. The other for what? Movements. Yeah. So chemicals that are being taken. I read a book by Wallace Terry called Bloods. It's an oral history of Black Vietnam veterans. And he was talking about how they were taking like marijuana, calm them down. The white people were taking like amphetamine, things that rev them up. Same experience, but dealing with different. So physiologically, I'm saying we don't look at that as a
We
reason why
calm
drug
down,
effects
we
are
get
different
you
between
the fuck up.
like blood pressure medicine. We don't look at it as a difference. We'll never solve the problems on that scale.
And that's one of the biggest issues in healthcare is the fact that they try to throw everybody in the same bin. When they know have phenotypes and physiology, right? So it's like, how are we going to always have, why are you going to have an RDA of anything when you know good and well, I need more iron than you. We know good and well, I need way more vitamin D than you.
So you're not funded by any of the pharmaceutical agents?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
So you get in trouble saying something like that?
Not today.
So the whole perspective with this coronavirus that hit and how it works with this ACE2 inhibitor, how it so-called gets into your system.
Let's back up for a
No,
second.
we gotta go forward.
Let's back up real quick though, before you go anywhere. It's called the what virus?
They call it the coronavirus because it's shaped like it, right? Corona. It has all these spikes. Son,
So they just put it in our face.
say that.
Please keep going.
If you look at the virus itself, how it gets into your body is by this ACE2 receptor. Guess what? It's everywhere in the body. Oh, really? So we know blood pressure medicines are different for certain people. Black people don't do well with H2 inhibitors. Guess what? This virus gets in by that mechanism. People taking the lisinopril. Oh, go YouTube. People get big old lips and swollen facial areas from taking that medicine. So black people may do, or melanin dominant people may do better with calcium channel blockers or water pills, and not the H2 inhibitors. The point I'm making is that that particular agent that was used to shut the system down, it attacked that system that is really all over the body. And then you now got black people taking these medicines that are advantageous for the chemical get to the body, so black people dying more.
You constantly taking a medication that inhibits that particular receptor, and then now you have a particular protein that's coming into your body that affects that receptor. So, yeah, your body is usually going to shut things down that far, but in this case, it's weak and it's been getting beat down for all these years because you've been taking this repetitious medication. Now there's no defense mechanism, and it can find its way in.
And people were so worried that, oh, Africa's going to be decimated. Oh, Africa, because they don't have any medical, treatments. Oh, Africa wasn't even impacted by this. They don't have blood pressure issues. You know what I mean? Right. Diets are different, and they got that melon. So I wrote an article in Leon Rossi, published in the Journal of Social and Behavioral Health. The issue of melon a million that helps to fight diseases. And so we broke that down scientifically, but the reality is Africa wasn't decimated.
And this has a lot to do with the fact that when we are in the sun, right underneath our skin, in the subcutaneous fat, we have cholesterol. When this cholesterol reacts with the sun, we end up producing, they call it vitamin, but you would call it
Social.
sotriol.
So that sun and the environment too also gives us something to look at with triggering things, because there's not a lot of technology in a lot of those places in Africa. I've been in the east, west, north, south, and all over Africa, and the technology is not as great. Kind of makes sense because you think about these areas where technology has been great. You have a higher instance of this dying from this particular agent. People start throwing the 5G and this technology and the towers and the energy. And so you're infiltrated with all this technology and your body's now more susceptible. Africa doesn't have all that.
So melanin has the ability to absorb all these frequencies of light. So that would mean that electromagnetic radiation would also affect melanin.
Yeah.
And when you say 5G, people say, oh, that's like 5 gigs. I'm like, no, that's fifth generation. And it's like 22.4 gigahertz to 30 gigahertz. We're talking billions of cycles per second, which is a lot of wave.
Over that time period, if I was at home, you go back to work, you look at all these towers
just pop on up.
Have to have a lot of them to make it work faster. So your toaster can work on my first button. So you can now drive your car and not drive your car. It's like
just say Siri, turn it on.
So that technology, I believe, is also having an impact on people's health. So we're being geoengineered, and that's having an impact. So you mentioned cholesterol. You're right. Cholesterol from the very beginning is important for making those hormones we just talked about earlier. Without the cholesterol, you don't have those hormones. So cholesterol is not bad. You got your good and bad. You got your HDLs and your HDLs and LDLs. I mean, there's differences. But the reality is cholesterol is a needed substance. And you think about the changes in the body that happen, like people talk about, when we go to the clone Tyrone, we talk about the hair products too.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of black women, when they were growing up, mom used the eggs and the mayonnaise to put in the hair. That's cholesterol. It's hormones. You start seeing people getting bigger than they normally should be because of those added substances that are being put in the body. When you think about your scalp, things get to your scalp. Of course. People do Head and Shoulders and all those Selsun Blue, those aluminum-laden shampoos. That stuff seeps into your body.
And I hear that a lot of coroners, after they look at corpses, they see these black layers and all this cook of the chemicals after all these years that have got collected and trapped.
You're processing all. Yeah, it's dangerous, like I said, so we don't really pay attention to these external sources that then get into the body and then wreak havoc. You don't die of natural causes. You just die of poisoning over time.
Right, because the body's designed to keep going. It gets aged. It suffers from senescence. It suffers from toxicity. And as long as we prevent that toxicity, cleanse the toxicity, keep on providing the electricity and light, then the body keeps functioning. Because we sitting right here talking, looking at you. They say black don't crack, and you a testament to that.
Right. So that and one of the advantages we say of melanin is antioxidant, right? It neutralizes toxic substances.
Now let's unpack that real quick. I came up with an interesting take on antioxidants. So antioxidants, you use those for free radicals. Right?
Yes.
I said free. People were like, what is a free radical? Can you explain that? I said, yeah, free radicals is Devo.
Okay.
From Friday, snatching grandmama's chain.
Okay.
All right.
Making it real.
You know what I'm saying? Rolling around the neighborhood, creaking on that little bike, just snatching grandmama's chain. And whenever you're able to give some stability to a free radical, which I guess would be Craig hitting on the side of the head with that brick, you know what I'm saying? And you stabilize it, then it's not going to go around trying to salvage and take its speed from everything else, destroying all the processes.
You're the movie expert, so I see how you're making that connection. It's like wreaking havoc. But that's the reality of what free radicals are in nature. They are destroying the cells because they're trying to find an extra electron to latch on to as it's doing it, keeps destroying cells. So the melanin serves to reduce those free radicals, diminish the damage, keeping the cells living in health. Not just externally, but what? Also internally. So that's why when we say melanin serves as a biological enhancer, yeah, it's not just absorbing energy, it's also keeping the body fit to not allow pollution and toxicity to destroy it. Now the thing is, we had a whiteboard here, a black eraser with black ink, and a whiteboard, and I'm erasing it, and I keep erasing it. Over time, that eraser is no longer going to work as well anymore because all the toxicity from the ink has gotten on it. So it worked really good early on, but you keep using it over and over, it's absorbed so much toxicity. And now it's not working right. It's the same in your brain. So over time, again, we relive it. So what the light shining in the environment, dust is everywhere. All that dust is also viruses, particles. But as that pollution gets into your body, you're ingesting it. Where's it going? The early studies on Alzheimer's talked about the front of the brain, the frontal lobes, where you saw a lot of damage. In the basal area right here in the front, factory. Kind of makes sense. And people talk about with the aluminum deposits. Early on, were like a lot of aluminum deposits in the nasal area. Kind of makes sense because you're breathing that stuff in. And so as it destroys those cells and then start having those memory problems. The Parkinson's is a little bit different because it's not like you're sniffing it. You're ingesting it and then now latches on and stays in the brain. You see the commercials right now about paraquat, herbicide. It's just like something that can be destroying those cells and substantial thing. Because all those paraquat commercials about if you think you have this, the commercial at the very end. So if you think you have this, you can sign up for Parkinson's study or something like that.
I'm out.
It's because
Peace and
chemicals
blessings.
that were latched on in that brain, and now over time it was protected. It's got so much in there.